Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's the 5'10" backup power forward, your man J.Oden, back with another episode of Call It What You Want, episode 4. Got my homie, got my boy, got my brother Jeff, aka JC, on the line. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, listeners? I'm excited for another episode, man.
Oh yeah, man. We're gonna dive deep into this basketball today. Talk about these conference finals. We're gonna do a little test your knowledge segment. We're gonna do some a little special little switch up for y'all, man. We got a little secret segment that we gonna post into the show. But first we're gonna start off like we start off every episode. We're gonna start off with that young icebreaker.
I was gonna say, man, we might as well stick to that $100 million question I didn't get to answer on the last episode, man.
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna go ahead and kick it off with that, man. If you was to hit the lottery today for 100 mil, what's the first thing you will buy for yourself? I had to change the question up because everybody I know gonna get a generic answer that they're gonna buy their peoples a house. So what's the first thing you gonna buy for yourself?
Well, this is actually real difficult for me, but I'm a country boy at heart. I did live in Mississippi for a couple years with my grandmother before I, really got established out in Indiana. So I like to travel. Traveling is one of the things that I always love to do, man. And I'm pretty sure $100 million is not going to be able to get me a jet and fuel it. So I'll go with the next best thing, man, an RV, a really decked out RV. I mean, beds that's king size, probably the size of Shaq's from MTV Cribs. I know you remember that.
No, I ain't that old. I don't remember no MTV
Oh, you
Cribs.
remember MTV Cribs. You probably watched Bow Wow's episode a lot. But and man, I think I want to go with an RV. I like to travel. I used to have a driving job, although I hate driving. I would drive an RV. It's something about an RV, man. It's real simple. I think I can go with an RV, man. That'll be my first purchase to myself.
So you gonna get that
Better
young
than an
RV?
ostrich.
No, ain't
Yeah, I
nothing.
gotta get an RV.
Ain't nothing better than having that ostrich in that red Eddie Murphy suit. And while you playing, I've been getting a lot of people hitting me up. I appreciate y'all talking about that Eddie Murphy suit idea was cold. And that whole ostrich joint, yeah, it took some people back to their childhood with that Donkey Kong ostrich ride. So while you joning, that's where it's at.
That's okay to wear that suit while you out there. Don't come to Arizona with that suit on. That suit is not gonna have a person inside of it by the time you step out that plane.
Oh yeah, nah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Me and my suit and my ostrich wouldn't survive out there in that Arizona heat.
Ah man, I don't think you would, but it's all right.
All right, so we're gonna jump into this next icebreaker question, man. This is one that I think is gonna be pretty fun, man. Give me your most embarrassing basketball story.
Well, I kind of want to go ahead and give you yours, which was the first time you actually got to play me on the court when we were out in Griffith. Man, you remember that little court?
Come on, man. Like I was like you talking about something that probably happened like 10 years ago. Like I don't remember that. I done dusted a lot of people on the basketball courts in Griffith. Shout out to Franklin Park.
No, but for anybody who don't know, man, I've always been the shortest guy. So I have little man syndrome. I really only have one embarrassing story that I would consider embarrassing. Made me feel less of a man, man. I was in a basketball practice. This was my maybe sophomore year in high school. And, we were doing full court one-on-one drills. Everybody on the team was bigger than me. Our best player was about 6'4", Rob Eldridge. Shout out to Rob Eldridge, man. That's the guy who I was telling you was giving Etwan buckets in college, but that's a whole nother story. He used to, he would score every basket. And when it was my turn on my end, he literally backed me down from half court all the way down to score a layup every play. And there was nothing I could do, man. And, being put out in front of my teammates like that, it was very embarrassing. I couldn't even hold my own. That's probably the only time in my life I can admit that I couldn't hold my own. That's my story, man. It's not cool being baby like that. Not when you coming into yourself. What about you, man? What's your most embarrassing basketball story? You probably want to stick to football because you got a lot of basketball stories that's embarrassing.
Come on, man. Come on. I ain't never got backed down by nobody. Nobody. I was always the strongest man on the court. Always. And I know a lot of my homies that's gonna listen, gonna hit me up and talk that nonsense, but they ain't never getting babied. But my most embarrassing story, man, it's kind of basketballish, but it's kind of not. It's actually super funny though. I think I was in like 7th or 8th grade, man. And I was in like a computer class. I don't remember the name of the class or what it was, but the teacher at the time, she had left the room. So me being the clown that I am, me and my homie, we had typed in Milli Vanilli. I don't know why we typed in Milli Vanilli, but we typed it in and that song came on. So we start dancing, everybody laughing. We hear boom, 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 boom. It's the teacher on hitting a window telling us to sit down. Keep in mind, basketball tryouts was underway. She came back to the classroom. She had gave me and my boy Rob detention. And it happened to be the day of the detention was the same day as basketball tryouts. Second round of basketball tryouts. So I got cut from, I don't know if it was my 7th or 8th grade year, but I got cut from the 7th or 8th grade team because I had to go to detention instead of go to tryouts. So I can't stand Milli Vanilli for that exact reason.
That's what you took from that. You can't stand Milli Vanilli because you had detention, huh?
Yeah, number one, no Milli Vanilli. Don't dance to Milli Vanilli. If you hear them come on, if you hear "Girl, You Know It's True," no, just turn it off. And also, kids, don't be a clown in school. Don't act an ass. That's what I took from it. Now that I'm grown, like I sit back and I look at it like, dang, I was tripping.
So
Yeah.
you didn't get to even try out. You didn't make the squad. That sounds like another great basketball player I know that didn't make varsity his freshman year. That's another story. Let's move forward, man, to the next topic. What we got?
Well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this new segment, man. We got called Dive In. It's actually we're gonna sit back, talk about what's going on with these NBA playoffs, give our prediction of these Eastern and Western Conference finals. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with you, Jeff. Who would you say is your MVP of the East and the Western Conference? Just for the playoffs.
Man, just for the playoffs alone, man. Unfortunately, I got to stick to the status quo. We know who the MVP of the East is, so there's no need to even bring that man's name into it. But for the West, I got to go with the second best player in the NBA right now, which is Kevin Durant. He's actually showing a part of his game that I've never seen him. He's maturing. And by maturing, I mean he's taking that step and taking mid-range shots when his three isn't going down. He's actually stepped up a lot more defensively in his career, over his career now than he's ever been. So I got to go with Kevin Durant, man. He's been leading that Golden State Warriors team. He's actually growing as a leader. So I got to go with Kevin Durant in the West. LeBron James is an easy East. I can go on LeBron for days, man. So no need for me to even go into that one. I'm sure you'll have him as your Eastern MVP as well. So
yeah,
who you got, man?
I think if you don't got LeBron as your Eastern Conference MVP for these playoffs, you're ass. And that's super easy. 34 points a game, shooting 55%, 9 rebounds, nine assists. I mean, you can't say no more about the man. He's just automatic. Just great, man. He's just been fucking phenomenal. In the West, like I really had to sit down and really do some thinking about this one, man. But I went with my man CP3. I mean, he shook that narrative that he couldn't get to the conference finals, and here he is, averaging 22 points a game in the playoffs, shooting 49%, 5.5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. He's taking his Rocket team to the next level, and I know a lot of people dogging him about who their next matchup is, saying they really don't have a chance, but I think they actually got a chance, man. So I'm rolling with CP3 and LeBron as my MVPs of the playoffs so far.
Of course, you have to pick a Rocket, man. They got to fit your narrative, but we'll get to that a little bit later too.
Oh yeah, I've been with the Rockets all year. I'm not jumping off my statement yet. I said the Rockets gonna win a championship, and that's just what it is. Because I know if I switch it up, all the people who've been listening, they gonna definitely hit me up via text, via Twitter, whatever the case may be, telling about how I jumped off the Rockets bandwagon. So I can't do that. So I'm sticking by my preseason pick.
Hey, I say we go ahead and jump right into it, man. Playoff predictions. It's only 4 more teams, the final 4 of the NBA. You already chose the Rockets, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean the reason why, and this is what people sleep on right now. The Rockets defensively they're a really good team defensively. They're not the normal narrative for a D'Antoni team. You know what I mean? And also what people don't know is they averaging only 9.8 turnovers off every 100 possessions. That's key if they're going to beat Golden State. You can't turn the ball over against Golden State. And with that 9.8 turnover ratio per 100 possessions, that's the second best mark in the last 41 years of the playoffs. Yeah, so I had to really do my homework, man. Really sit down, really think about it. Watch a little game film via YouTube. But I think that the Rockets gonna get this in 7.
Ooh, I gotta defer, man. I gotta go Golden State. As a team, there's no team in the NBA that can honestly match up to them, man. And although they were defensively as a defensive team, they've actually taken dips over the years with picking up Durant. They're ranked 17th this year in opponents' points per game. Of course, they're ranked very high, number one in points per game. So they're offensive juggernaut just as Houston is. And despite Chris Paul's heroics, I believe he's about to hit this block that he's continually hitting his postseason career, man, going against this Golden State Warriors team. Stephen Curry leading this Golden State Warriors team will win the NBA Finals once again this year.
So with that being said, who would you say is your important role player for the series?
You know what? It's gonna come down to Draymond being that defensive juggernaut that he is. Draymond is the heart and soul, always has been, probably always will be for the Golden State Warriors. He's gonna dictate this battle as he did with Rajon Rondo in the last round, man. He's one of those players that's continually, probably put Clay, Steph, and Durant in front of him every time. But there's no leader like Draymond Green, man. He's definitely my X
Hey,
factor
the
in
fact
this
that you
series.
just said there's no leader like Draymond Green, you get ass of the day. like you're ass for that
Hey,
comment. Like Draymond, all right, he's a good player, but he's definitely not like this all-time great leader. But no, he is very important, and I got one of the best matchups. I think the top matchup to watch for entertainment purposes is going to be Draymond against PJ Tucker.
and man, is that gonna
Like
be a battle?
Rondo and Draymond was cool, but Rondo's a shorter guy. Draymond got him, but now he got like this really stocky PJ Tucker who like to talk. PJ Tucker ain't no slouch. He's a goon, man. He's about that life. But I was gonna go with like my key role player being Ryan Anderson, but I don't even know if he gonna.
I was gonna say Ryan not even getting ticked,
Yeah, I
man.
think for this series, he's perfect for this series because of his 3-point shooting and ability to stretch the floor. Now you allow whoever's going to guard him, whether that's Draymond or Iguodala or whoever the case may be, you kind of pull them out of the paint and let Rondo and CP3 facilitate and do their thing and get to the bucket. But with them getting to the bucket though, man, one low key stat, man, is that the free throw attempts to field goal attempt ratio has dropped for the Rockets, but they were averaging about a free throw every 3 field goal attempts, and now that's down to about 2.5. So the refs stopped giving them those fouls, man, and that's been what's been harping them a lot in these playoffs, man. They not getting to the free throw line like they usually do, and I think a lot of it comes from the players like responding to it, like Donovan Mitchell in the tunnel last week when they lost, talking stuff about James Harden. If he need to get those fouls to be the MVP, then he's whack and all this. You know what I mean? Sometimes that does play into the effect in the way how the refs ref the game.
As far as James Harden, and we know his game, a majority of his points per game come from the line. I think the refs are starting to figure out that crappy move. He likes to go in, he draws the contact. He's one of the best in the game at doing that currently. Actually, maybe of all time, man. It's ridiculous, but he hasn't been getting it as much in the playoffs. It's more of a physical game, and the deeper he goes into the playoffs, it's going to continue to get more physical. And he's not going to get that call every time. I think that's a huge factor in his effectiveness for that team. He's not getting to the line as often. It kind of throws off his rhythm, as you can see in those bad games that CP3 had to hold him up. I just think that's one of his. That's going to be a huge Achilles heel if he can't get to that line as often, because he's not as efficient as he should be, man. In the season, he was 36.6% from the 3-point line, which isn't bad, but that's honestly lower than what LeBron averaged in the season at 36.9% from the 3-point line. And we all know that LeBron can't shoot. He's not a scorer. Hey, if they're dependent on James Harden to lead this team and for Chris Paul to back him up, who has never been to conference finals until this year, and you're going against Golden State, a defending champ, won 2 out of the last 3 years, about to win a third one this year, man.
Stop it.
That's gonna be tough. That's tough. That's gonna be tough, and I doubt that they're gonna make it over that hump. I almost wanted to say I had Golden State in 6, but I can't disrespect the Rockets that much. Plenty of talent, surrounded by plenty of shooters over there. I mean, I don't know where Eric Gordon has gone in the playoffs, but he might get perky in the playoff series and coming up here. So
You just say that man gonna get perky?
perky, he better get
Like,
perky.
stop it, man. Perky? Like, get out of here. Get
Perky.
out of here. All right, man.
Perk
We
up.
already know, like everybody else knows, who ain't on the team, who ain't on the bandwagon yet. Come on, y'all can come join. We still got plenty of room on this Rockets bandwagon. Y'all can come through. But we're going to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where it's the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Boston Celtics.
I gotta start this off by letting the followers and the listeners know that I feel totally disrespected for Brad Stevens. Now, one nod for Coach of the Year. What's going on, Justin? Talk to me, man. What's going on with that?
It is what it is, man. I mean, we know he's a great coach. He knows he's a great coach. You don't need those little weak ass votes to validate you as a good coach. And so there you go. It's like you at your job or doing whatever you know how to do your job, and you do your job. You don't need no validation for that.
Very true, but I just think it's disrespectful, man. He had his 2 best players aren't even in the lineup, or on paper, his 2 best players. Because I think actually Jason Tatum might be stepping into that second-best player on that
Slow
squad,
down,
man.
slow down, slow down,
Hey.
slow down.
And I'm not saying at this very moment, man. I'm going off his potential. He's definitely shown he has some of the best footwork in the game right now. And as you know, man, Carmelo Anthony's footwork was what got him where he was.
We're gonna talk about Melo later. But no, I like don't get me wrong. Like, I like Tatum, but like I said on my man Justin's podcast the other day, man, like they gotta slow down on some of these comparisons and calling these dudes superstars and great. Like let them chill, let them live in the moment. Let Jason Tatum do his thing and let his game grow, let him flourish. Just don't even start labeling him anything. I want to see how he gonna do. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be up against LeBron very much because they're gonna need him on the offensive end. So I don't think he's gonna guard LeBron and get wore down like that. I think it's gonna be a lot of Marcus Morris on him or Markieff Morris, whichever one of them it is. I don't know which Morris twin it is. He'll be on LeBron most of the time, I'm sure, until he gets in foul trouble or get a technical or get a flagrant for hitting LeBron too hard. I think that the Cavs gonna take this in 5. It's been a fun story. Brad Stevens being without his 2 best players pretty much the whole year because Hayward's been out all year and Kyrie Irving's been in and out of the lineup with that knee situation most of the year. But I think it's a wrap, man. I think the Cavs are going to take it in 5. They're going to get that rest. They're going to heal up, and they're going to be ready for the finals. I think the person who has to be a very important key to this series, though, is Jeff Green. Last series, he played pretty good. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't as ass as he normally is. But having a guard potentially Tatum or Brown when he comes off the bench, he has to be up for it. And I think Jeff Green is a really good defender, not great. I think I seen something I think on Twitter where somebody said that Jeff Green is equivalent to Lamar Odom. So whoever said
I wouldn't take it that far, but that it's not that far off either, man. Jeff Green is a pretty
stop it.
It's not.
Stop it. Like for all Lamar Odom's issues, Lamar Odom was a damn good player. Like Jeff Green, no, you're not even on that level. Like you're not even close to it. You're a good player. But like Lamar was a really, really good player, not a great.
Now we're not talking about Lamar's success. Lamar was very successful, man. We're talking about the game style. They definitely have favorable game styles.
No, because Lamar
Lamar
was smooth.
He's not as smooth as Lamar. Yeah, he's not as smooth. That's exactly what I was getting at. He's nowhere near as smooth as Lamar, man. Then again, lefties are all smooth. There's not too many lefties that's not smooth.
Wait a minute? Did you just say it's not too many light skinned guys that's not smooth?
Oh, no light skinned guys are smooth. Sorry.
Oh, bugging.
Oh man, you threw me off track. Yeah, Jeff Green, I think they're wonderful utility players, and that there's a shortage of those guys in the league, especially where there's a league full of superstars, quote unquote. I think Jeff Green fits that mold as a great utility player, and Lamar Odom did the exact same thing, man. He just played a much bigger role, especially on those championship teams. Getting away from the topic, I'm still picking the Cavs in this series. With Jeff Green finding his stroke a little later in the last series,
Pause. Super pause.
definite pause, definite pause. But he was finding his stroke, man. As we all know, as basketball players or as anybody who knows the game, man, when you see that ball going in the rim, it does something to your confidence. It builds you up. And
I'm sorry. I'm super immature right now. You got to say pause, bro.
pause, man, and let me know when you're done. Okay, analyzing me. I just think that LeBron has it going. He's unstoppable at this point. Kevin Love, he's actually been stepping up major. So I got to go with the Cavs in six. I can't count the Celtics out at home twice. The Celtics are a big time defensive team. I think they understand the logic that Brad Stevens is presenting, man, and they go after whatever game plan he lays out on the table. He's the mind of that team. I think they're going to take the Cavs to game six, but they're going to lose.
All right,
They don't have Kyrie. It's not enough.
here go a crazy stat. When George Hill, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, LeBron James, and Kevin Love are all on the floor together, they have a field goal percentage of 66%.
Wow.
Now, I know a lot of that is LeBron. Most of that is LeBron. The J.R. Smith probably shoot 2 or 3 times. He's notorious for giving you 5 points. But that was just crazy when I looked that up and seen that together, when they are all on the floor together, 66% field goal percentage. Like that's super crazy, man. Like I think that lineup alone is what's gonna get them that win in 5.
I can agree with you on that one, man. I actually been enjoying watching George Hill finding a little bit more confidence in himself too. And even though he did go to that Indianapolis school that I don't really associate myself with, but
IUPUI. Let's go.
we pooey from where we from, man. But George Hill's definitely getting confidence, man. He was taking them off the dribble. He's getting more comfortable in that lineup, and it's not the Hampton Five that Golden State's gonna throw out there, but it's the Cavs version. So I got Cavs in six versus your Cavs in five. I don't think they're gonna beat them in five.
All right, since you got so much knowledge, let's put that knowledge to the test. All right, I want to know if you were the owner of an NBA team, who would be your GM, your coach, and one player that you can have on your roster that's under 25 years old.
Oh man. Well, I gotta get Scalabrine as my GM. No, all jokes aside. I gotta start with my team, man, and hands down. Well, not hands down. This is actually more difficult than I'm trying to make it sound, but we discussed this before, man. I gotta stick with my same choice. Although they just got bumped, I'm not gonna stick on recency. So I gotta go with the Sixers. Still a very young team. The core there, besides Ben Simmons not being able to shoot at all. He shot horrible. He was actually exposed a little bit in this playoff series that they just lost to in the Celtics. But
Before you get too deep into it, you don't get to keep the Sixers team. You get to start. You starting fresh. Like this is your first pick, your coach and your GM. You're not keeping Ben Simmons and Embiid and Redick and all of them. You starting fresh.
ooh,
You're an expansion team.
oh, that makes it a little more difficult then.
Oh yeah,
Well,
you thought this was about to be simple? You thought it was gonna be sweet?
hey, well, you know what? I still, if anything, I gotta go with what the Celtics are putting together, man. So it's an obvious choice. My GM would be none other Danny Ainge, man. Danny Ainge is my GM. What he's been able to do over that franchise over there in Boston. He set the record straight. If you're not riding with him, you out of here. Isaiah Thomas, he had to get out of there. No, but in all honesty, man, Danny Ainge is he knows what he's doing up there, man. And I move on to my coach, Mark Jackson. I still don't understand how this man does not have a job. I just tweeted that actually. Follow me on Twitter at call me JC11. Yeah, I gotta go with Mark Jackson, man. He's actually the reason that this Golden State Warriors team is where they are now. He was there before Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr actually was handed a golden throne, man, to sit on when he was given that job. but Mark Jackson provides foundation. Although you can't teach the Splash Bros, but what he did to utilize his squad and his game plan and put that defensive minded and what he did for that squad to make them defensively minded. I can't take that away from Mark Jackson, man. He's a well respected coach, although he does a lot of complaining as an analyst. That's another reason we got to get this man a job. We can't keep hearing him complain on the sideline. As far as my top player under 25, this is tough. But I'm going with your rookie of the year on this one, man. Donovan Mitchell showed he played his ass off in his playoffs all year. Well, up until the point where he was given that highlight. I gotta go with Donovan Mitchell, man. He's a damn good player. It's something in him, a fire inside of him that I see that I'm sure everybody else sees, man. He doesn't back down to anybody. He ain't afraid of anybody. That comes with the maturity of experience in the college level of play, man. Something that Ben Simmons, for instance, is struggling with right now. He doesn't quite have that. He hit that rookie block heavy in this last playoff series. So despite having Ben Simmons as my season rookie of the year, the playoffs rookie of the year, and Donovan Mitchell, man, I love to have him leading my team, especially with Danny Ainge and Mark Jackson behind me.
Pause. But we gon' I think all those takes was trash. But them yo guys. I mean, you can have them. I don't want none of them. Like I roll with Mitchell, but I'm not starting my team with Mitchell. I think he's a really good player. Like everybody comparing him to D Wade, but for my squad, give me my GM Rob Pelinka of the Lakers. Now I know he only been a GM for a year, but you got to understand this. Rob Pelinka was one of the best agents
Yeah,
in the
absolutely,
game.
man.
So what does that mean? That means that I'm gonna get some of them good free agent connections that he got. Whenever something happening that I need to do, like if I need to have 2 Chainz or somebody come perform or something, I got that. So Rob Pelinka is gonna be my GM. My coach, Steve Kerr. I think you have to have a great relationship between your GM and your coach. And I think Steve Kerr is one of those guys that everybody gets along with. So and then your coach has to be good with the players. And I have yet to hear a player come out and say anything bad about Steve Kerr. So I'm rolling with Steve Kerr as my coach. Also, it don't hurt that, he got 5 rings as a player and 2 rings as a coach. That don't hurt. That don't hurt at all.
Don't hurt not one bit, man. Not one bit.
Now, as for my player, everybody gonna hit me. I know it. Saying, what about Towns? What about Booker? What about Embiid? What about Simmons? I mean, those guys are really, really good. Those are really good players. But I got a guy, man, that a lot of people are super sleep on. He averages 18 and a half points a game, a shade under 11 rebounds a game, 6 assists per game. And he's a center from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. And the man also shoots 50% from the field. And this is what people super sleep on. 85% from the free throw line. Like your center shooting 85% from the free throw line. I mean, that might be more impressive than your center getting 6 assists a game. So now what I can do is I can create all types of mismatches with Jokic and whoever else I want to put on that team. For my squad, Jokic is my number 1 pick. And like I said, I know I can have Embiid and Simmons and all these other guys, but sometimes it's good just to do a little bit of homework and see what kind of style you want to use if you were an owner of a team.
It's funny that you say that because he's actually one of the more efficient guys in the league, and he's playing
Oh yeah.
32 minutes. Sometimes he plays less than that. So, hey, that's a great pick. Definitely did your
Oh yeah.
homework on this
Speaking
one,
of that
man.
old homework, that we not done. I still got one more. I got one more question for you. Now, since we into the conference finals, I just wanted to take it back a little bit, like your hairline, and talk about some teams that didn't win championships. In your opinion, what's the best team to make it to a conference finals or NBA finals and not win a championship?
There's a lot of teams to mention, man. I have a few honorable mentions actually. That '07 Suns team, led by Steve Nash and
Yes,
Amari
sir.
Stoudemire, very dominant during that time period. The '02 Kings comes to mind. Chris Webber, as we already established, very underrated player, career, despite the outside troubles. Man, they went
Yeah.
at it with Shaq,
Oh yeah.
Shaq and Kobe. In this pick, man, I had to go back a little bit further. In a very tough era, as everyone will say, the 90s, 80s era, the New York Knicks, the 93, 94 New York Knicks. This also happened to be the year that Michael Jordan wasn't playing, so the East was wide open for everybody. This team was ranked number one out of the NBA teams in the entire league in defensive rating.
Facts.
They allowed 91.5 points a game, which isn't a lot nowadays. Everybody's pretty much averaging 100, but the game was slowed down back then, and that was pretty decent. They also had Patrick Ewing, man. Patrick Ewing, Hall of Famer who has never gotten a ring, and I feel sorry for him. I feel horrible for him. They had Pat Riley,
Yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy
Yeah.
on the staff. These are legends in the game, man. And that year, they were actually expected to win 60 games. They finished with 57 wins, which was first in the NBA, NBA Atlantic Division, I should say. But other than that, man, that team was loaded. I wouldn't quite say loaded, but they had some Hall of Famers. Patrick Ewing. John Starks actually needs to go ahead and get to that
Stop
Hall
it.
of Fame,
Stop it
man.
right now.
John
Stop.
Starks needs to get to that
Stop
Hall of
right
Fame,
now.
man.
No, no, no. I'm a Knicks fan.
He needs to
I
get
am
to
a
that
Knicks
Hall of
fan,
Fame,
and you
man.
talking crazy.
He got to go to the Hall of Fame off his accent
No,
alone.
stop it. Stop it. Like, there's for no reason whatsoever should John Starks be in the Hall of Fame. Like, if you was to say Oakley, I might give you a little leeway on that. But to say John Starks, like, yeah, John Starks was a really good Knick, but you gotta remember he was in Golden State for a minute. He was super ass in Golden State. And a lot of people don't know that, but that's just that's me. I know this basketball. I really do my homework, and I really live and breathe this. No, them Knicks teams, man, in the early to mid '90s weren't bad at all, man. Actually, I was just on my man Justice podcast, like I said earlier, and we were talking about Latrell Sprewell the other day. He wasn't on that team, but that team that you're talking about, they lost to the Rockets, right?
They lost to the Rockets in 7, man, by
Yeah.
6 points. It came down to 6 points, and that's tough. The Rockets actually they had Drexler, they had Hakeem leading the team. That was it was a tough matchup, man, and I honestly feel bad for those Knicks. They just couldn't make it without Jordan in the league that one year. That was their break. They weren't gonna beat Big Shot Robert Ory, Sam Cassell, Otis Thorpe, Kenny Smith, Mario Ellie. They had a lineup, man. They actually had the same average age team, so it wasn't like it was a young team going against an old team,
Hold
man.
on.
But
Before you go any further, you just mentioned all them dudes, and not one time did you mention Vernon Maxwell. Come on, man. You can't mention Mario Ellie and not mention Vernon Maxwell. Mad Max was that dude back then.
my apologies for not naming the entire roster. If you wanted me to name the entire
I mean,
roster,
if
but
you're gonna
hey,
name the players, you got to name the good players and the most important players. Mario Ellie, solid, but he had better days when he was a Spur than when he was a Rocket. Mad Max was that dude. But I mean, like I said, that was a good pick though. That New York Knicks team, that was a really good team that didn't win a championship. I thought about using them, but I went away from it. I went with the team on paper. That's probably the greatest roster on paper ever assembled. The 1999-2000 Portland Trailblazers. They had a young Jermaine O'Neal, Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith, Detlef Schrempf, Arvydas Sabonis, and Stacey Ogman and Greg Anthony was on the bench. Brian Grant, they had a team. They had to run up against Shaq and Kobe at the time. And yeah, they gave them that work. They lost in the Western Conference Finals in 7 games. But
and I'm sure a lot of our listeners and followers know that big shot. That continual play that's on every replay you watch NBA TV. Kobe throwing a lob up to Shaq, man. That was that series. I remember like it was yesterday because I hated Kobe and Shaq during this period of my life. I can't take away from them. Those are two great players.
oh yeah, but like what people don't know too is Portland was down 3-1 in that series. That would have been the original 3-1 meltdown. Shaq and Kobe came back, got it done. But that year, Portland was third in offense and fifth in defense. And even though I mentioned all them names, the one name that I forgot to mention, My man Bonzi Wells.
Bonzi Wells.
One of the coldest dudes to ever rock a headband. I think everybody was rocking
Oh
headbands because of
man.
Bonzi Wells. Nah, I'm just
Hey, he had that thick boy too. I want to say it was thicker than LeBron's in Cleveland, but
another pause for Jeff. Another pause for Jeff with that thick one. But
oh man, you killing me today, Smalls.
hey, I just gotta protect you, man. I mean, you out here, people gonna be hitting you up, laughing at you. I just gotta make sure you do your thing. You rather me tell you than people on Twitter tell you. I'm sure people on Twitter be ruthless.
I already know, man. The Twitter world is a whole nother beast in itself.
All right, so I got one more question, man. While we on this test your knowledge segment, it's a lot of dudes, and we just mentioned it, that's being called superstars and Hall of Famers. What are some of your, well, not a some, just give me one. Just give me one, because I don't want to beat this dead horse too long. Give me one of your most overrated players of all time.
A lot of people followed this guy's career. He's actually still playing right now. He's on the team that you picked to win the finals. Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson, man, if people don't know, he was getting those major contracts before major contracts were getting made. It was at one point in his career, he was making $24.9 million, which was second, only behind Kobe Bean Bryant. The man has a career average of 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And his career high points per game, 25 for the Hawks. But what has he really accomplished? What
Wait,
has
Joe Johnson only scored, his career high was 25?
25 points per game.
Oh, for a season. I thought you were saying like career high in one game.
Oh no. I'm going off a season.
Oh, okay. You had me spooked.
$160 million contract. Like I said, contracts now that's nothing with this new bargaining agreement that's going on. But back then that was unheard of, especially for a guy that couldn't lead the Suns, couldn't lead the Hawks, couldn't lead the Nets. He's definitely not about to lead the Houston Rockets anywhere, man. Joe Johnson has always only been a utility player. I've never given him that superstar tag. Very good player. Don't get me wrong, but I honestly believe he was overrated. He was overpaid. Longevity is about the only thing that he has in my eyes. I had Joe Johnson as an overrated player, man.
That's not
Overpaid and
bad.
overrated.
That's not bad. I didn't even think about Joe Johnson. I mean, most people don't really think about Joe Johnson. I mean, I didn't know he was making that kind of money over his career. I mean, he was a solid player. I remember back in the day when he was on Phoenix, and he was a pretty good player back then. But I mean, he was always solid. He kind of reminded me of that, like that Michael Finley role. You know, he had a real smooth, solid career. But I mean, for the money, yeah, the money and the points per game don't add up. But I'm with you though. I got a guy, man. Like I really had to think about like really overrated players. But I went way back, like again, like your hairline. This dude played 13 seasons in the NBA. 10 of the seasons he actually played, 3 of them he was hurt. He's one of the 50 greatest players. Yes, I know y'all like,
Wow.
what? How could he be one of the 50 greatest players and be on the overrated list? He was a 2-time All-Star, a
Two?
two-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA, and he was a 1-time Sixth Man of the Year. Keep in mind, he's one of the 50 greatest players to ever play, and he had a career average of 13 points per game and 10 and a half rebounds. He's known for saying, throw it down, big fella. Bill Walton.
Wow.
To be in the Hall of Fame,
Wow.
yes, to be in the Hall of Fame, I get it. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, which means college, pro, like if you're a coach, whatever it is, it's not just for just one accomplishment. So a lot of Bill Walton being in the Hall of Fame pretty much has to do with things that he did at UCLA. I get
Absolutely.
that. But to be labeled as one of the 50 greatest NBA players of all time, stop it. Whoever, yes, please
Politics
stop.
on that one, man.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like he was completely ass. Like, 13 and almost 11, that's respectable. To be one of the 50 greatest players, Bill Walton, you are not on that list.
The father. Oh, my bad. I thought we were watching Maury.
Oh, watch Maury. I mean, like I said, like he did his thing. He played with the Celtics and he did win a ring in Portland. But like, man, I'm just like, I was like dumbfounded when I seen it. Like I was just like looking, like I knew that this had to be a good one, and so I just had to do a lot of research. I ain't gonna lie, it took me 2 days to come up with that one. But yeah, Bill Walton, super overrated. With that, I mean, if you're gonna throw shade, you got to give somebody they respect. Who's your underrated player? But you know what? I'll go first. I'll go first since you've been going first. My underrated player of all time, and I said it earlier, we coming back to this player, Carmelo Anthony.
Oh,
And
man.
I know y'all thinking like, Melo, what? How? 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA player, a scoring champ, 3-time gold medalist. And I'm not even going to put his college statistics up and tell you what he did in college. This is just NBA. The man has averaged 20 points per game in 14 of his 15 seasons. Like when people talk about how LeBron's still doing his thing in year 15, Melo's a year older than him and still was doing this thing. If you go time for time, basketball knowledge, like Melo can hold his own against anybody. And then I know you get those people who say, oh, Melo was just a scorer. Melo averaged for his career 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and a steal per game. Now, this is what pisses me off the most about this whole Melo talk when people want to bring up Melo. They always say, oh, well, all those are individual stats. Melo only does things individually. But y'all, the same people that give Dominique Wilkins respect, George Gervin respect, and Allen Iverson respect. Wilkins put up 30 points per game, but he ain't got no ring. Gervin put up 30 points per game, high 20s, and he ain't got no ring. AI put up big numbers and ain't got no ring. So every era has, like every 10 years or whatever the case may be, every era has that player who balls out, puts up numbers, but doesn't get that respect. And for me, that's Carmelo Anthony.
You know, I always give you a hard time with Carmelo Anthony, man. And he had a pretty tough year, man. This is actually his first time being a third option. And looking at his career totals, you said what, 24 points per game?
For his
About
career,
six and a half, yeah, about
yeah.
6.5 rebounds, 3 assists. He didn't have that big of a dip off this year. Not a huge dip. Went down 8 points. I think that's pretty tough. But like I said, he was a third option on this team. We had Westbrook shooting 43 field goals in one game. Come on. But averaged about the same rebounds, 2 less assists. Now what really did drop, which is where I really got to beat him up, Carmelo's career win shares 100.7. You know what his win shares were this year? 3.7.
All right, name me some really great players that Melo played with.
He played with Allen Iverson. He played with a Kenyon Martin.
Wait, and those were on the same team, and that Denver team where they lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers.
Yes. And that,
Okay,
hey, that was a tough team. And Carmelo was the clear leader of that team. Like I
okay.
said, man, I give Carmelo his props. I was difficult on him this year. I don't understand how a player as Carmelo Anthony does not take over teams, especially in the big. The man wasn't even in the playoffs on the Knicks, man. He finally got back to the playoffs. We were gonna see playoff Melo because we definitely didn't see playoff P more than one game. But I never saw it. It never clicked with this guy, man. And
Wait. Did you say Melo didn't make the playoffs with the Knicks?
not recent, not over the recent years, man. No, he made the playoffs with the Knicks, just not over the last few years, man.
I mean, people.
Melo,
That's what I don't like. Making the playoffs and winning a championship with just one player is difficult. Like I don't. You got to understand. Like Melo with the Knicks, he had with Amari for 1 year.
that was
And
a super team, man. We just discussed that on Twitter. Derrick Rose,
like,
Carmelo Anthony.
come on. And like Derrick Rose called that a super team. I mean, like people so quick to just hurry up and say, "Oh, you ain't make the playoffs. You a star. You supposed to make the playoffs." Like it takes a team. Like yeah, I'm not saying he's LeBron where he can carry a bunch of scrubs to the championships or to a finals or to a conference finals or whatever the case may be. But Melo is a damn good player. In my opinion, he's one of the top 60 to 70 of all time to ever touch a basketball.
Hey, I got a bold prediction next year for the Thunder. I think they'll do much better with Melo, especially with Melo being a second option. I think they'll do much better next year with no Paul George, because Paul George is out the door. We know that.
I honestly think Melo out the door too. Melo's made his money. I don't think he want to be there. They don't use him right. I think Melo. I know it sounds crazy to opt out of $28, $29 million, but I'm sure if they can make a trade for him, somebody can trade for him, or Melo can find a team, a suitor. I think Melo possibly could opt out of that and go somewhere else, and just to try to get that ring. Like I said, I could see him for sure going to Houston, but like he would have to really accept that 6-man role, or not even 6-man, but that bench role. And I hope for his sake, just to see Melo be one of those guys that get a ring, even though it's late in his career. I hope he's willing to accept the bench role just so it could enhance his career. But did you have
these last two things that I gotta say about Melo, man, that we know for a fact because we've heard it from his mouth. Besides one, I'll mention the first one. Carmelo loves that money. He's not giving up that money. And the second thing, he's not taking no bench role. And that's exactly what he's gonna have to do if he ends up going to Houston. He's not going anywhere. He's sticking with this money. He's staying in Oklahoma City another year.
I mean, now, I can honestly see Melo coming off the bench. I can see all of the Banana Boat fellas, the Banana Boat crew, all in Houston next year. That's LeBron, CP3, Melo, and possibly Wade if Miami don't want him and he don't want to retire.
That's a big push, but I got a player for you, man. I got another player for you that might make you think twice about that Carmelo Anthony pick is underrated.
Who is it? Hassan Whiteside?
Absolutely not. This was in today's game, he would be an undersized guard. He would definitely be deemed an old school player because his pace was very slow. But man, was he a smart player.
Jello Ball.
Never Jello. Never not a Jello. Out of University of Colorado, man. I'm gonna give you, you already know off University of Colorado, but career stats of 15 points per game, 3 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Doesn't sound like much, but I got another crazy fact for you. The guy never averaged more than 20 points per game.
I already know where you're going.
You already know where I'm going. But they call him Mr. Big Shot. Chauncey Billups, undeniable, 5-time All-Star, 2003-2004 NBA champ. Not only was he the NBA champ, he took down those Lakers and was the Finals MVP. 3-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defensive. Definitely, it was a debate recently on Twitter, man. Who was it with? Chauncey Billups and Tony Parker?
Yeah, that was from the episode on Monday. Yep.
If you don't pick Chauncey Billups over Tony Parker, you cannot speak to me. There was no comparison, man. He absolutely led that team. He was the heart and soul of that team. Hit those big shots against the Lakers, man. He downed that Lakers super team. He did it throughout his entire career. Went to Denver, was doing the same thing. Chauncey Billups, hands down, is one of the most underrated players of this time. Averaging those numbers, come on, man.
All right, I'm going to ask you this. Like, I get it. Yeah, Chauncey was a good player, but was Chauncey underrated, or was it just the fact that it was a log jam at the point guard position when he was coming through the NBA? Because there's some guys that we definitely don't even talk about much as being like elite point guards, like a Gary Payton. And I know a lot of people mention Jason Kidd, but Jason Kidd's name don't get brought up as much as like an all-time great as it should. It was some really good point guards in the era. Like, don't taking nothing away from Chauncey. Chauncey was a heady point guard. He did his thing. But I think it was more of a log jam at that position than it was of him being underrated.
All right. And I know this is a random question, but do you think that he was more offensively gifted than Gary Payton?
Offensively gifted, like jumper and everything, jumper handles.
And this is a tough one for me too. It's a real tough one. We're not gonna get on defense, even though both of them had good defense. DP is the glove for a reason, but I mean offensively.
Young Gary Payton, when Gary Payton was young coming up with Seattle, Gary Payton can get you some buckets. Like Gary Payton had it. He can dunk. He can do his thing. But I think if sheer athleticism, if you take them both at their greatest athletic moments, I'll probably say Chauncey might give it to Gary on the athleticism side.
So why would he not be considered underrated? Hey man, I mean I don't know. That's just my pick. I had to go with Chauncey Billups, man.
No, I'm not saying that you wrong, Chauncey, but I'm just saying is he really that underrated? Or is it just, like I said, the fact that it was a lot of point guards coming up? Like, if you had to pick, and I'm not saying that it's a bad pick either way, but would you take Chauncey Billups or Steve Francis? Would you take Chauncey Billups or Mike Bibby? Like it was a lot of good point guards in the 2000s and late 90s, but like I said, I'm taking nothing away from Chauncey Billups. He definitely doesn't get his just due sometimes. And they beat one of the teams that could have been on our greatest teams not to win a championship list.
That Lakers team, yeah, man. Like you said, it was a log jam, but in my opinion, I think he's just one of those names that's not brought up, especially if you think about 5 or 6 names during that time for point guards, he's not going to be one of them. So yes, I would consider him an underrated point guard, underrated player in general in the history of the NBA.
Okay, so, no, I can get with it. I can get with it. Like I said, if Chauncey was in today's NBA, he probably would do his thing today too. So I mean, his game translates well between both eras, well, all eras pretty much. He would have been good and back you down 1970s NBA with all the wild and crazy personalities they had back then.
Well, they can do the hand checking too, but.
All right, so now we're going to jump into this new segment, man. I actually was laying around the other day and I woke up and I thought about adding this. I want to call it Keith Sweat time. It's where we're going to sit here, we're going to make our plea, we're going to beg for one celebrity that we will want to be on the show. Make your plea for one celebrity to come on the show and talk basketball and life with us.
Hey, I don't really need him to talk basketball with me, but if LeBron can hang with him, I can hang with him. On the low, I had this guy's in a boy band group growing up, and I used to listen to him. I had the CD, don't tell nobody else. It's out there now, so NSYNC, Justin Timberlake. I used to listen to this dude. He's always been a smooth operator, man, and he just seems like he's a whole lot of fun to be around. Let's not forget, Justin Timberlake is the reason that we got to see Janet Jackson. Yes, Janet Jackson.
I'm not that old.
Hey, I watched that live, but I'm not that old either. And I'm definitely not as old as you, but I gotta go with Justin Timberlake, man. He's been in the game for years. The man broke Britney Spears up. Yes, that is a very old comment, I know. But he's still in the game. He's still very relevant. Definitely a great singer, but I was going with Justin Timberlake, man. It's hard to think of celebrities right now, but JT, man, come on, brighten up the show, man. The same way you took out LeBron and had them drinks, you can have a drink with us. I'll take my grapefruit shandy. I had to tell y'all, grapefruit shandy is my drink. My boy put me out. He said, don't mention nothing about Gentleman's Jack because I don't drink. But
yeah, I don't drink, y'all. But no, that's a good one. I mean, Justin Timberlake, he a cool dude. I mean, all the greats named Justin. By my name being Justin, all the greats.
Absolutely, man. You the best, man. You're the best.
I rock with them all. But for me, my Keith Sweat moment goes out to one of the all-time greatest personalities of all time.
Who is that, man?
You can see him everywhere. Nicknamed the Big Baller, Mr. LeVar Ball. Like LeVar, listen, man, if you out there, if anybody who's listening know LeVar Ball, please, LeVar, come on here, talk basketball with me. Come on, man. Like, I would love to have LeVar Ball on here, talking hoops, telling me what's going on with the big ballers. You know what? Hey, LeVar, I know you for the first question gonna be, did I purchase some ZO2s? Hell no. I do got a big baller shirt though. So, and I don't got them sliders. I'm not paying $250 for no sliders either. But LeVar, if you listening, come on to the show. You can come, we can hang out. I'll put some milk out. I know you like to drink milk and eat Dunkin' Donuts. I've seen it on Ball in the Family. Come through, hang out.
Man, we need the scoop on the new league, man. Come on, give us the scoop, LeVar. Hey, if anybody needs to, Justin is related to LeVar Ball. He just didn't want to tell y'all. But let's go ahead and move on, man. What else we got? It should be wrap up time, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's time to hang it up. It's time to wrap it up. We're gonna give out these shout outs, man. I definitely first and foremost want to shout out two of my podcast brothers and really good dudes. Damian Adams. Shout out to Damian, man. He first person to ever had me on this show. I did the real deal with Damian Adams a couple weeks back. I just want to shout you out and say thank you. I also want to shout out my brother, my homie, I want to shout out Just Blaze from Above the Rim podcast. Just did his show the other day. We talk often, man. He gave me a lot of good feedback, man. I appreciate you, my brother. Definitely want to say thank you, man, and happy birthday to you, Just. Also, all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I know y'all probably gonna hear this after Mother's Day because we're recording this on a Saturday. Mother's Day is tomorrow. You know, I want to say happy Mother's Day to my mom, my sister, my mother, all the mothers out there. A lot of us wouldn't be where we are without y'all. So I just want to shout y'all out, salute y'all. Single
Definitely
mothers out
happy
there,
Mother's Day.
definitely major salute to y'all. So who you got? Who you shouting out, Jeff?
There's too many people to shout out, but definitely, man, I gotta shout out my wife, man. She has my back. We're out here in Arizona, and it's just us, man. Not too much family, and we making it work. Having the
Definitely,
time of our lives, man. Got a baby on the way, and it's been a blessing to just be going through this phase of my life. My wife, my mother, all mothers out here, man. Happy Mother's Day for this
Chris.
weekend.
Yeah, happy Mother's
Hopefully,
Day, Christy.
oh yeah,
But yeah, everybody who out there, you know, all y'all listeners, man, we greatly appreciate y'all. Check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, YouTube, and our website at www.callitwhatchawant.com. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us on our Twitter accounts. I'm at Oden, Oden 2218. That's at Oden 2218. Jeff, tell them where you at.
man. You can follow me at Call Me JAYC11. You can follow us. You can actually follow us on Snapchat too, man. We trying to get the Snapchat lit too. Snapchat CIWW podcast. Instagram call underscore it underscore whatcha WHATCHA underscore want. You miss any episodes? Follow us on our website, man. You can catch all the episodes. Trust me, if you're looking for somebody to agree with you, then you only looking for Justin, because I'm only gonna call it how I see it. Uh,
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Now, one thing I will tell y'all before we get up out of here is y'all truly lucky that y'all don't got to see Jeff's face because he is truly ugly. But without all that being said, you know, thank y'all for listening. We'll catch y'all next time. Holla at y'all.
hey, make sure you can call it bold, call it misinformed, but always just call it what you want, man. And we out.